Hello and welcome to another episode of Ask the Attorney Anything. I'm Rebecca Zung, and I'm here to answer your questions live. I am streaming simultaneously on Facebook, on my YouTube, and in my Facebook group, which is Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, then you need to do that. And if you haven't liked me on Facebook, do that. And if you haven't joined my group, you are certainly welcome to do that as well. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I see I have lots and lots of questions already. I would love to know where you're all tuning in from. I love to see where you are all at this point. So I am going to go ahead and start answering some questions. If you are just joining, I'm Rebecca Zung, and I'm so glad that you're here. I know that you are probably feeling powerless and paralyzed and trying to figure out how to deal with narcissists. All of us have had to deal with it. None of us are immune. There are so many of them in the world. And it is my mission and my crusade to give you guys step-by-step guidance on actually how to get out of the relationships with these people. Real things that work, real things that allow you to feel powerful. You know, one thing that came up this morning, I was interviewing Dr. Joe Vitale, and by the way, that's going to be an incredible interview when it comes out in a few weeks. So make sure that you check that out. But he's actually talking about how he just went through a divorce from a narcissist, and how, you know, even with all of his tools and all of his years of study, you know, it knocked him and threw him for a loop. And so And he said something that I thought was really powerful. He said, I thought I could just walk away and be the nice guy. And it was a great opportunity for me to remind him and others and you guys that if you think that you just want it to be peaceful, if you think you just want to walk away, it seems counterintuitive. It almost seems like a paradox. When I say to you, you have to create leverage, you have to have a strategy, because people think, well, strategy and leverage sounds like I want to fight. And I have to say to you that if you don't want to fight and you're dealing with a narcissist on the other side, then you have to create strategy and leverage. Otherwise, there will be a fight. There's no nicely walking away from narcissists. Believe me, I've had to deal with them in my own life, and I tried to do the same thing. I tried to walk away nicely and, you know, not burn bridges, and everybody can get along and at least we'll remain cordial to each other. No, doesn't happen with narcissists. Unfortunately, you have to be strategic. You have to ethically manipulate the manipulator, as I say all the time. So, hello, Sherry from Alabama. And hello, Karen from San Diego. I'm loving seeing all of you here. Hello, Becky. Hello, Mallory. All right, so this is fantastic. I'm going to grab a question over here. Okay, here's a question from Tara Wagner. Hello, I live in Colorado, and the person that has the custody of my daughter is willing to give me custody back of her. Can I do a modification of allocation of parental rights? So Tara, great question. I'm only going to say that I'm not licensed in Colorado as an attorney, so I'll give you my general thoughts, my general information on this. And that is, once you have a custody order or a final judgment in place, then in order to modify it, you would either have to apply for a modification and prove all of the law that is required to get that modification, or you can just get somebody to agree to it, which is what you're talking about, which is, of course, way easier and way less expensive. So if you agree to it, then you would, you know, draft an agreement and you would both sign it, and then you would file it with the court so that now there's been an amendment to the final judgment or a modification or something. You know, I don't know exactly what the terms would be in your particular state, but that's how you would do it. Because remember, the judge, the court, they're always going to look to whatever that last order was, whatever that last final judgment was, whatever the last thing was. So you need it to either be a modification to the final judgment, or an amendment to the final judgment, or a modification of the custody order, or something along those lines. The terminology may be slightly different in your state, but that's what you can do. If you want to relocate and the person doesn't agree, it can get very, very dicey and expensive, just because anytime when you're dealing with a custody issue, you're going to have to deal with facts and proof and witnesses, things like that. It's always harder to prove custody things than it is financial things, because the numbers usually are the numbers. Whereas whenever you're dealing with a custody issue, you have to provide lots and lots of proof. So that's where it can get pretty expensive. But certainly if you have somebody who's agreed, all the better. Okay, so Edna Hernandez has a question. I've been doing mediation, but he's lying about everything. Should I just not agree and let the judge decide on custody? I would say no to that question. You can mediate with a narcissist. In fact, mediation is oftentimes the best place to get what you want from a narcissist, but you have to do a lot of preparation ahead of time to make sure that when you get to that mediation, you are ready to go with springing your leverage on that person. That's where you can put the fear of God into them. Because remember, with a narcissist, while they want supply, and they're like narcissistic supply whores is what I call them, there are different levels of supply that they don't even realize. So certain things are going to mean more to them to protect and keep than the supply that they get from making you miserable. And that, for sure, one of those is looking bad in front of the judge. So I would say you can definitely mediate. A lot of times the mistake people make is going into a mediation conversation without being ready, without having your strategy, without having your leverage, and all the things that I talk about in my SLAY methodology. But once you have all that stuff and you've got your magic bullet leverage and you're ready to go, by all means, you definitely want to mediate. And that's really one of the best places that you can go to get your, to get what you want. Okay. So, okay, next one. Chef Maximus, how to find a lawyer who understands narcissistic abuse and will not victim blame and shame prospective clients. It's really, really hard. I would say 99% of lawyers do not understand narcissism. That's why in the new updated version of my SLAY program, I do have a packet for lawyers. It's a 5-page packet that I drafted myself that you can just print off and hand to your lawyer, and so that your lawyer can actually start to help you a little bit more with that. In the SLAY program, I also have websites and all the things that places where I would go to find lawyers. And also I have a questionnaire in there to help you interview the lawyer to make sure that it's somebody who's either, if they don't understand narcissism, they're going to support you and believe you, because otherwise you end up being a victim again. You know, you were victimized by the narcissist, and now you go into your lawyer and your lawyer's like not believing you or doing things that end up putting you in a difficult position. And I feel like, okay, now you're being victimized again by your own attorney and you're paying for it. And you also get victimized by the judges in the court system if the lawyer doesn't know how to present things and do it in a way that basically walks the judge right through the process so that you can end up exactly where you want to go. And that's what I teach you how to do. So, but that's sort of it in a nutshell. You definitely want to have a lawyer who's going to be part of the overall strategy that you are creating. And so that they're, instead of them being like a puppet in the narcissist show, because a lot of times that's what happens with lawyers. They end up being part of like the the puppet of the narcissist with unwillingly and unwittingly. They don't even realize it. But, you know, if they start saying things like, oh, let's just settle this nicely, or let's just try to send over settlement proposals through letters, something like that, you're never going to get anywhere with that, because the narcissist will constantly change the goalposts, because the lawyer doesn't understand that the narcissist is getting narcissistic supply from everybody scrambling around and jerking around not only you now, but now your own lawyer, and sometimes even the judge. So it can be very, very frustrating. And that's why I created the packet as part of the update to the SLATE program, which was just released about 2 weeks ago, because I realized that there's just so many lawyers that don't really understand. And that's why you end up having, you know, a lot of times people say to me, oh, I just need a good lawyer. I just need a good lawyer. And, you know, a good lawyer is definitely not going to be the be all end all. You're just throwing money at this person and hope to God they know what the hell they're doing, or they know what they're in for. And most of the time they don't. And so that's why there are people who are out there who've spent $100,000 and 3 years later, and they're nowhere, because the narcissist has basically jerked everybody around. So that's why it's really, really important that you take control of the situation. And yeah, you need a lawyer to help you with, you know, presenting it under the law and things like that. But you got to take control of the situation, or you're on a runaway train, especially when you're dealing with a malignant narcissist. Okay, how can I file a complaint against a judge who's biased? My ex's attorney had a firm with her prior. My son requested standard, and okay, judge granted. Okay, so a complaint against a judge who's biased. There are going to be laws and statutes in your particular area that govern when you can get a judge recused. And so you'll have to look those up. There's going to be some kind of procedure around how to ask that a judge be recused. And then, you know, of course, you can always, you know, complain about it and things like that, but that's not going to get you anywhere. I would say try to get the judge recused is probably your best bet. But make sure that you follow the local rules on how you would go about doing that. Okay. And it sounds like a conflict of interest is always a good way to get a judge recused. So it sounds like you've got the grounds. But again, without knowing the exact laws in your area, I can't really speak to it, but definitely that's going to be your best bet. Okay. If I was ordered as, this is from Pink Girl, if I was ordered as domiciliary parent with hearing officer, why would judgment be denied? I'm not sure I quite understand that. So you're saying that you were granted temporary custody, and then at the final hearing were not. That's what I'm guessing. If I'm understanding correctly, exactly what it is that you're saying. You know, temporary orders don't always have a bearing on what happens in a final order. My guess is that there was some kind of findings, and you know, a lot of times the states are very much leaning toward the 50-50 thing these days. And so that's my guess on that, Pink Girl. I also do want to mention I am doing a live webinar on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. And so come join me for that. I'll do an extended version of the Ask the Attorney Anything. That's 9 a.m. Pacific time. And we'll make sure that there's the, Laura is so good. She's got the website there scrolling down below. So make sure you join me for that. And I'm also doing a live with Carrie Ford on Thursday, and she's going to be talking about how to elevate your power and all kinds of really, really cool stuff. So I'll be busy on Thursday, and hopefully you'll be with me checking it all out. So let's see. Question from Becky Davis. My lawyer withdrew from my case a year into it. Will that hurt me? I didn't like her proposal. It benefited my husband more than me, so she dropped me. I'm 26,000. It won't hurt you, Becky, if you end up having to get another lawyer. But you definitely want to get one who's going to be part of the strategy and understand exactly what it is that you're, where it is that you want to go. Okay. And also make sure, if your lawyer's like telling you like, this is the best deal you're going to be able to get, or, best case scenario is this. And, you're not always going to get 100% of everything that you want. Because remember, your best case scenario is the other person's worst case scenario. So, nobody's going to settle for their worst case, because chances are if you go to court, you're not going to see your worst case scenario. So, I would definitely say that. So this will be my last question. So this is from Brick. What is the best type of documentation to submit for a child custody case? I have a ton of evidence, but I'm not sure what format to submit it all. So Brick, in my SLAY program, I actually teach you exactly how to take the statutes. So what you're going to want to do is pull that custody statute and organize all of your documentation according to each of the elements of the statute. So if there's an element that says something like, which parent is more likely to foster a close and continuing relationship with the other parent, and you've got a text message that says you're a deadbeat dad, or you're a neglectful mother, or whatever, then that's going to be good evidence to back up that particular factor. So, but I would encourage you to check out my SLAY program, and also come to my webinar on Thursday, and you can learn more about that. So thank you so much. This has been really, really great. I love connecting with all of you in this way. Somebody's asking about for Thursday. Yes, if you sign up for the webinar and then you can't make it, you'll end up getting a replay. You'll get the link to the replay, so you can end up watching it whenever you want to at that point. Okay, so I will see you all hopefully on Thursday, and thank you all for joining me. Remember, today is just the first day. It's just the jumping off point. Wherever you are is just the jumping off point for the next part. You're never too deep in the hole, so never give up. Never give in. We can do this. It is possible. I have gotten results for millions of people, and I can help you do the same. So just don't ever give up. Stick with me, and you'll be able to get where you want to go. All right. I'll see you all in the next one.